We're joined by Shahar Azani. He's the executive director of Stand With Us here in New York. Shahar, what do you make of this decision by Airbnb to now no longer list in homes in the West Bank?
Well, clearly a most disappointing act by Airbnb that chose to not work in conflict zones, yet Chinese-occupied Tibet or Turkish-occupied Cyprus or Kashmir or Crimea will still see Airbnb. And in addition, they call it the measure against the disputed area, and yet they only act against one side of the dispute, i.e. Jews who own properties. We haven't seen such measures taken against Palestinians, nor Palestinians who won't rent apartments on Airbnb to Jews or Israelis. So the immoral stance
and double standards.
Celebrates.
Hypocrisy and double standard from Airbnb. Is this because they just succumbed to the BDS movement? Do you think that that is how this came about, the BDS pressure, the boycott, divest, and sanction Israel movement?
Well, it's part of the Palestinian and their comrades' attack on civil society. It's a diplomacy of destruction and alienation. And it's a great risk because, as we all know, the famous saying of the road to hell is paved with the greatest of intentions. Now, I may doubt the intentions of Airbnb, but it's clear that this is no pathway to peace or reconciliation. This will further deepen the alienation between Israelis and Palestinians. This makes no headway in any direction of a dialogue between the parties, and it's a shame that Airbnb has partnered with such a movement which reeks of anti-Semitism. You know, it's amazing that civil society pities dead Jews and yet does everything it can to isolate, demonize, and boycott those who are alive. And I hope that Airbnb reverts. I can tell you that personally I've deleted the app.
All right, that's a move. So what is the reaction? How can people who are against this kind of move fight back? Is it to boycott Airbnb?
We absolutely, positively have to make our voices heard, send the messages to Airbnb, let them know that what they have done is wrong, understand the pressure of taking an immoral stance in the hope that they will change it, and if they choose not to change it, then take the necessary action. For as much as we wouldn't want to see anti-Semites, Ku Klux members, or any other members of an immoral and anti-social movement, so has Airbnb joined this unwelcoming club.
Shahar, stick around. We want to get your thoughts on this next report. And it's involving ice cream maker Ben and Jerry's. Some are wanting to boycott them. That is because they have taken a political stance with a new flavor called Pecan Resist, which was launched to resist the Trump agenda and to support an array of so-called progressive causes. It celebrates some very controversial leaders, including those of the Women's March that have called for boycotting Israel and for supporting anti-Semitism. Daily Dose host Jeff Smith has the story.
Hey, Michelle, there is one thing we can all agree on, and that is ice cream is delicious. But when it comes to the Middle East, when it comes to Israel, even ice cream can be controversial. Ben & Jerry's has a new flavor. It's called Pecan Resist, a play on words there. It's a limited time flavor, with the proceeds going to help out several progressive groups, including Women's March, an organization whose top leadership are proud supporters of the anti-Israel BDS movement, not to mention fans of Jew hater Louis Farrakhan, the guy who keeps calling Jews termites and satanic demons and blames Jews for orchestrating 9/11. Women's March co-chair Tamika Mallory refuses to denounce Farrakhan for those comments, and she often attends his speeches. Mallory has also openly questioned Israel's right to exist. Another co-chair is Linda Sarsour, a Palestinian-American who supports BDS, calls Zionism wrong and creepy, and accuses American Jews of dual loyalty. This is her third from the right in Ben & Jerry's promotional tweet. As you might imagine, many Israelis are furious. Several Israeli entertainers are asking their fans to actually boycott Ben & Jerry's. The Simon Wiesenthal Foundation says that the company is actually dishonoring Jews. Meanwhile, the Zionist Organization of America says the decision is sickening and frightening, called the Women's March anti-Semitic. Thousands of ice cream eaters sent in critical comments. Ben & Jerry's responded to some, saying that Linda Sarsour is doing important work to promote women's rights. On that issue, they are proud to join her in the effort. The Israeli arm of the Ben & Jerry's company is not even selling the flavor. Here's their statement. They are distancing themselves entirely from the U.S. political debate. The company's founders, Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield, are Jewish and they are proudly progressive. In fact, their top-selling flavors indicate their liberal, marijuana-friendly attitudes. Half-Baked and Cherry Garcia top the list. Save a scoop for me, Michelle.
Jeff Smith, thank you. All right, we're back with Shahar Azani. Shahar, I would say that this just made it a little easier to resist ice cream. What do you make of this pecan resist flavor?
It's the same kind of what we call useful idiots. People who think that they're backing humanistic causes and social causes while not really digging in and looking into the actual causes that they support. Linda Sarsour, as was mentioned in your story, is an anti-Semite, anti-Zionist who calls openly for BDS, who undermines the right of American Jews to stand up for what they believe in here in the United States of America. Now, it's our obligation to join hands and make sure to make our voices heard through social media, through other means, so that these companies, whether it's Ben & Jerry's or AIRBNB or any other civil society member who will adhere to these calls, to understand their, the gravity of their mistakes.
Do you find that the movement to boycott those that support anti-Israel or anti-Semitic people or ideas is as strong as the movement against Israel? It doesn't seem like there's the same kind of balance to take action against companies that are clearly anti-Zionist.
That's correct. The manifestation of the modern anti-Semitism, we are facing a huge coalition of anti-Israel and anti-Jewish organizations. As you know, the numbers of Jews are small. We're 6 million, 8 million in Israel. We're 16 million under optimistic assessments globally. We are facing a huge coalition, a very strong coalition of organizations calling themselves progressive, who undermine Israel as the Jew among the nations. But it's all the more of a reason for us to stand up and resist. And pecan resist is our flavor. And we must resist the Sarsours of this world so that we will not allow people like Farrakhan, who are being celebrated, calling Jews termites, and 3 days later sitting next to President Clinton at the Aretha Franklin funeral. Can you imagine, Michelle, if you had a Ku Klux Klan member who were sitting on the stage, the kind of uproar? So when it comes to Jews, it's okay and it's allowed, not in our neighborhood.
Well, it does certainly seem to be a big double standard when it comes to racism against Jews in Israel. Shahar, thank you. Appreciate you being
Always
with us.
a pleasure.
Shahar Azani.